Hi there. I'm Dr. LaReesa Ferdinand. I am so excited to be here today. And most importantly, we are bringing awareness to menopause. So I think it's very interesting that we have to have specific days to make sure we become aware. And it's become so multitude and multifaceted where I feel like there's a pretty much a day for everything. But you know what? We're going to take advantage of that because if that's going to help any woman out there, I'm all for it because I truly believe in heal women, heal the world. I am Dr. LaReesa Ferdinand. I am an integrative gynecologist and a menopause health expert. And what I am most of all, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to help women not only heal through an integrative approach, but to understand that through mind, body, spirit healing, on top of understanding what the heck is going on with your body is one way that and one step to get closer to living better, living stronger, and definitely getting your mojo back. And so today I have with me two wonderful guests. So I often talk about being the CEO of your health. And what do I mean by that? So you know how you have a company, it's run by a top notch who says to their board, who basically helps with running this company or running this as a good systemized machine. So the one thing about your body is adaptable. It's made by God. It's a beautiful tool. But guess what? You are in charge of it. And that means you have to be accountable. You have to be very intentional. And most importantly, you need to surround yourself with the right people who are willing to be on your team and support your goals. And I think that's important. And it definitely is against what we consider in our typical healthcare system because it may not necessarily navigate the same, but it serves a purpose. And I'm never going to disagree with that. At the same time, the accountability as women and bringing awareness to this day is so important because 6,000 women a day are going to go through menopause in the US. And guess what? We make up 51% of the population. We make up 20% of the workforce. I'm going to say that we need to pay attention to our bodies and most importantly, pay attention to our healing because we are responsible for major production, trillions of dollars, and we are our most important asset. So let me not belabor any longer and let me introduce what I consider part of my board of directors because I feel all women should have some kind of consistency as far as those people who not only have your back, but have those intentions of goals of what you have for your health and wellness and your overall healing. Thanks for viewing. Just know that you can pop some questions or comments. Definitely share, tell your buddy, like join me here in Dr. L's lounge so we can talk about menopause. So the first person I want to bring on board is Miss Tammy Austin. And Tammy specializes in women's issues, especially when it comes to trauma and trauma attachment, mood disorders. And what I like, and I can't wait to hear about, because I don't think it's discussed enough, how she integrates cognitive behavioral therapy in helping women. And I think this is an underutilized tool and certain things that I feel like you need to go out and ask about completely. She also embodies the power of relationships, right? And so she provides marriage and family counseling, as well as emotionally focused therapy. And this promotes healing and connection. It's so many things that Tammy does. She pretty much can give a whole gamut of how she works with women, especially in this period of time. And so Tammy, welcome and say hello to everyone.
Well, hello, and thank you for inviting me to join you tonight. I really look forward to discussing this very interesting, but very interesting and at times probably pretty scary topic. So,
yes, absolutely for some people, right?
yes.
All right. And our next advisor, one of my board advisors, is Coach Bridget Joy of Key Life Fitness, Training in Health and Wellness. And I want you to kind of lift up your shirt there and it says, I'm enough.
Mhm.
Bridget is all about not only training women and men, but she definitely serves a large women's population or female population. But it's so extensive. She has 12 years of experience. And not only that, she's got degrees on this stuff. Like she has like all this information and education, but she lives the truth and she activates inspirational things, not only in my life when I work with Coach Bridget, but she lives it and she walks the talk. She provides corporate wellness and workshops, personal group fitness, online training, meal planning, CPR training, and just basically those keys of health and wellness that all women need and want. And I thought it would be beautiful to bring not only a personal trainer, someone who's very into the intrinsics of the female body, and also the one who's very much intrinsic into the female mood and mental health. And then I'm like that person in between that's going to mold some of these connections together to help you understand how the physiology, the biology, all these things in menopause. All right. So say hi, Bridget, to everyone tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. A pleasure to be here. Can't wait for the discussion we're going to have. So
awesome. And we thank Bridget because she's just coming out of a class and making some buns burn and some other things and melting away some belly fat. So I can't wait till she kind of hops on and tells us a couple of things as well. All right. So I wanted to make sure to go over some, since this is Menopause, World Menopause Awareness Day. One of the particular themes of this year, and it's so interesting. I don't know who comes up with the things. Like somewhere there's someone that says this is the thing, but I like it because cognition and mood. And if anyone who works with me or talks to me, I'm very into brain health. I'm very into how can we live longer, live stronger, but how do we go about doing it other than saying, okay, I went in to see my doctor. I got a pap. I got a mammogram. I'm all good. I'm supposedly healthy. To me, that's normal and mediocre thinking. We need to start thinking about optimal health. And one of those things is really tying in how does brain health, cognition, and mood bring into these things. So I thought that the physical well-being as well as the mental well-being that definitely couples the spiritual well-being comes together in understanding what is menopause. So I wanted to, at least as we use these terms tonight, because I'm going to tell you, I'm not telling no one's age, but I'll tell mine. I'm in my 40s and I'm the Perry representative tonight, but I do want to change the conversation out there. I want it to be where we already know what we're heading into in each of these reproductive stages. So we have a little bit of Perry, Minnow-ish, on and on, beyond represented today. So, and I think that's really important at this point to make sure that we have these intergenerational conversations, and especially with the diversity that we have on our group panel, part of my board of directors. So I think that's awesome. So menopause. So let's just get some covered umbrella definitions. Menopause is usually is the definition of the absence of a cycle for 12 months. However, for those who have had hysterectomies or had surgery or had premature ovarian failure for whatever reason, sometimes you're not quite sure, am I fit in this particular type definition? So oftentimes I like to talk about the transitional changes from one reproductive stage to the next. So when we talk about just the blanket biological definition, yes, absence of a cycle for 12 months. However, there's a bigger transitional period where I always talk about the M's. So you feel like, did I become that crazy with your moods? Did you have some kind of change in your mental health? Did you have some changes with your moisture down there? Or is it your momentum or your movement or any of these type of things where you feel like your body has broken up with you, like a bad boyfriend? And with that detachment, you often feel like off. You feel very off. And that's oftentimes within your 40s where you feel these major changes. And these are fluctuations of your hormones. One thing I like about hormones, they're your regulators, they're your negotiators, they're your repair functions. They play vital roles in many parts of your body. So in menopause, you have a significant decrease, like a a bottom drop, oftentimes, I like to call it, where you just feel that shift in some major hormones, specifically estrogen, progesterone, what people are aware about. But there's some other things that you need to understand. DHEA and testosterone, that's a whole nother live within itself. And then perimenopause, you have fluctuations of these particular hormones. And guess what? The one thing I like about hormones is like women. We're the negotiators, we're the regulators, we're the ones that clean up everything, come and restore happiness again. And so oftentimes in this time of transition, in either one of these stages of reproduction and post-reproduction, we need to understand what our bodies are going through. So with that, I'm going to put out there, Tammy, this is our icebreaker question. When did you first hear about menopause?
Okay, I actually heard about menopause. I'm going to date myself, but I heard about menopause when I was probably about 12, and I was watching an episode of All in the Family. And in this particular episode, Edith was Archie's wife. Edith was going through this, like, these mood changes. She was crying one minute, she was yelling at her family the next minute. She would cry and run out of the room. Just really unusual behavior for her character. And when the daughter finally told Archie what was going on, mom's going through the change, and that was the word. And finally, Archie decided he had had enough. And he said to Edith, just change already, change already. So again, I'm 12 watching this episode, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, is this what this is? And is this something, so I'm like looking like, is this something that's going to happen to me one day? But that was sort of the benchmark in my mind of what menopause what menopause is like.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Bridget? I know you're not there yet. You don't have to say that. But when did you first hear about menopause?
I can't remember when I first heard. It probably would be on TV as well, but I would say that my first experience with it is me being, a little bit younger than I am now. And my mother would be sweating all the time, and I would see episodes of people on TV like sticking their head in the freezer. So that was my correlation. Like, she would stand in front of the freezer and be like, I'm hot, and then she'll try to take like garlic pills and try to figure out all of these things, and I'm just like, that's a lot. I've got a lot going on. So that would probably be my first experience. I don't remember exactly the first time I actually heard about it, but that was the first experience for me.
Okay. Yeah. Honestly, it's like I vaguely remember hearing about menopause. Honestly, I think it was one of those words where I didn't really know it until like probably college and, going through certain educational things. It was always called the change. So for the longest, I thought it was defined as the change. I didn't know it had a term that was more, I guess, scientific per se. And then with that, of course, with time and education, like understanding what it is, but now in this space that I hold, knowing that this is a time where there are many changes, right? There are not only physical changes, there are emotional changes. Most of us are having oscillating changes of our career or peaking our career, taking care of aging parents or watching kids grow up or exit homes. It becomes more of a lifestyle thing, a purpose-driven thing, and some of the areas that have to do with workforce changes. And so, which brings up a question that I have for you, Tammy. What are some of the most common things, or you can name one, that women may approach you in your services when they're going through menopause?
Well, actually feeling different, feeling off, not feeling like themselves. I think too, and I was just making some notes, it's emptiness, it's loss, it's in some cases divorce in addition to, but just loss and trying to figure out who they are in this season.
Mm-hmm. I love the word season. That's my thing for 2022. Like literally sowing in whatever season that is for you. And I think that's important. So Bridget, that brings me to, okay, what are some of the common things? And tell me about the age group or your common age group of women who seek your services, and why, or what are some of those trouble spot areas they may come to you for?
Age range from 18 to 45, probably the bulk of my women right now are between the ages of 30 and 50 for the most part. Common areas, usually belly fat, lower body. A lot of women want arms. So they're like, I want these bat wings or chicken wings to go away. Definitely belly fat is probably the main one that people want to get rid of. And then also just a lot of women want to feel more confident as they go through body changes and things. They don't have the confidence they need or they feel that they should have. So just being able to do more than they thought they could is a big part of why they come to me.
I think that's really important. And through an integrative approach that I use with working with women, it's not only that problem, because we always talk about the problem, what is the solution, but why. And I love how you said that, because sometimes it's just all about the confidence that's behind it, or the fact that I can go to this nook of clothes that I haven't seen in my closet for a minute, and I want to wear that dress again. Or I want to stand in front of people and know that I'm not wondering, is my spank showing, or can they see my girdle? You know, it's a why behind it, and not to be ashamed about it. And so that's huge right now, not having shame around these these beautiful times that our life is around. And so I have to ask, Bridget, okay, so belly fat. So if you had to choose like 3 core movements that women should do, and then you can talk about what those moves are, frequency, or, the balance of it all. What is your approach to that?
When we talk about belly fat, it's a twofold thing. As with anything, mainly your nutrition is going to decrease your belly fat. So you can't crunch away belly fat. You can't plank away belly fat. But when we talk about belly fat, we're talking about complete core strength, and your core is your stomach, your back, your obliques, all the above. And that helps you stay upright as you get older. So concentration is more so on like doing dead bugs, which you actually look like a dead bug on the ground, and you're wailing your arms and legs, but you're engaging your core, which means your stomach and your back. Planks are a good exercise because it doesn't cause too much stress on your body. And then full body exercises like push-ups or squats, you're going to target arms, target legs, but also engage your core while toning, because as you get older, we know that we have to continue to do strength and resistance to prevent osteoporosis and going into menopause. So all 3 of those things help us to tone your core. But the number one thing is food, because you can crunch all day, but the core will not get smaller. It will not tighten if you don't concentrate on food. So
I like that. You can crunch all day. And that can be used as you can crunch all day.
Yeah. Yeah, this is true.
Crunch all day and still have belly fat. Right. So I love that specifically and everything. And that's something that commonly someone will come to me about, and I'm always coming to say, well, I'm not only going to help treat the common problem what's going on, but I want you to live longer, and I want your quality of life. When I think about Alzheimer's disease affecting women more than men, and especially Black women twice as much as well, these type of statistics scare me a little bit, because we are the caregivers. We are the ones over time taking over so many micro and macro aggressions over time, and that wears down on our body and the utility of how we're able to serve ourselves and serve others. And I think that's definitely important. So, and just one more question about that, Bridget, when we're talking about these key areas of which you mentioned, nutrition, of course. I like the dead bugs, and then some kind of full body exercises or what have you. Do you feel like when you see a lot of the different, I feel like there's so many different, I guess, systems out there, companies, like there's a lot of stuff out there. Is there something that you usually like to redirect women, from, not saying that may not be with you, but how can they balance maybe this particular membership that you may have somewhere, but to really have an overall balance of some of the needs around this time where your body's redistributing belly fat or fat period,
Right.
and your bone structure and everything is different.
I think that to answer that question again, that's a challenge because someone may like Orange Theory, or someone may like CrossFit, or someone may like F45. But the most thing that we have to understand as a woman that is aging is that as your body changes, you have to do different things. In order to reach a goal, you can't just do the same thing over a period of time. Your body gets used to that. So, for example, if we use Orange Theory, I'm running every day. So I'm pounding on those joints, I'm pounding on those muscles. So over time, I'm going to get injury. And once I get injured, I get discouraged. And then it's a cycle. So a lot of times people don't understand that if I'm doing cardio running, I need to do strength training. If I'm doing both of those, I also have to stretch. I also may need to do yoga. So just being able to make sure that you're hitting all of the points that your body needs. Like you can't do strength training 5 days a week or hit 5 days a week and not stretch. You're going to feel it. Your body's going to break down. And then you also have to add nutrition to that because your body can't recover if we don't eat right. So there's not one specific thing that I would shy away from. I would just shy away from only doing one thing, if that makes sense. Yeah.
So what I'm hearing, there's no one size fits all, right? I mean, and I think that's important. I love what you said. It's so true because over time and bringing that biology in it, some of these programs, they're increasing that cortisol amount so much. And if you have overproduction of this, what we call the sympathetic drive or the nervous system, you can end up with a little bit more anxiety. You can end up with a little bit more mood disturbance, less sleep. I mean, that's a whole nother conversation because I believe sleep is the new sexy within itself. And then on top of that, excess cortisol, and cortisol is always not a bad thing. I mean, it's the overproduction of anything could end up wearing down on those joints, causing more belly fat, and then breaking and distorting some immune function and therefore causing more inflammatory cycles. So paying attention to those type of things is really important. So Tammy, back to you as far as women of this beautiful age in this transition, whether we're premenopausal, peri, or menopausal and beyond, what is so unique about your approach with women to help them through these transitional stages?
Well, actually, you were talking about the cognitive behavior therapy. I also use dialectical behavior therapy, which is really a bit of a more of an emphasis on self-awareness, mindfulness, presence, and really just helping people to kind of check in and learn how to listen to themselves. It incorporates breath work and just allowing an individual to kind of push out all the noise and find their peace, which is,
What's that again? Say it again. I want to.
dialectical behavior therapy.
Okay, now we're going to really test how my spelling melted away in med school long time ago.
Well, it's referred to as DBT, and so I incorporate that in as well. But really, just about helping people check in with themselves and learning how to check in and pay attention to what they're thinking about. And I like to talk about the who versus the do, and who do you think you are? Because as we know, our thoughts control and affect so much of how we show up and how we present ourselves in this world. And so that's a lot of what I like to do with people, is just helping them to pay attention so that the mindset shifts that need to occur can begin to take place. And we do talk about diet and exercise. And I feel like I'm a living proof of the mind thinks sometimes the mind thinks it's one age, and then the body says, oh, I don't know about that. uh, but I always tell people the things that you do in your 30s and 40s, you will reap the benefits in your 50s and 60s. And so getting people to move. And one of the other things that I do with my clients is we walk and talk. And so when I can, I'll meet people and we walk and talk instead of sitting during the session,
Mm-hmm.
because I think that movement helps so much as well. So
Yeah, and I think we've done that once together, haven't we, Tammy?
Yes.
I think we
Yes.
did, yeah, around this nice little pond. And
Mhm.
then it's interesting because I remember an exercise because I'm such a high functioning kind of high, kind of performance type person. I can, I just kind of can, keep driving at things at times. And, but that can lead to kind of ruminations of certain things and not recognizing that I was climbing. We did a ladder exercise, right? A ladder exercise
Mhm.
of how those driven moments, I guess, of that sympathetic drive or something. But still, we coordinated that with the thoughts that I was having at the time or what those triggers were and being very self aware. And so that's another thing about being the CEO of your body. You think you know your body, but you transition into these areas where no matter what you tend to be more inclined to pick up these type of things, and you just tend to cope better. You tend to be at ease. You tend to be someone that can weather storms a little bit better because your anxiety or your moods, 50% of women, a little over 50% of women are going to express it as a problem in perimenopause and menopause, where they feel erratic. They feel like they've disconnected with themselves and their environment, and their moods are off the chain. And so I want to talk about how that mental health game changer plays into our relationships and what you have encountered, especially when this is around a peak time where women are either dealing with divorce or death.
And like I said earlier, just loss. And one of the biggest things is this isn't the way I thought my life would be,
Mhm.
or this isn't where I thought I would be at this point in time. And so helping people to be able to make peace and forgive themselves and release and reset expectations, because it's not over. I mean, and I heard someone say one day that they weren't retiring, they were refiring. And I said, I'm going to take that. I'm going to use that. And that's what I've told myself is, okay. I mean, I've crossed over 60 now, 60 plus. And I said, in my mind, I'm not over 60 in my mind.
Mhm.
And so I said, I'm giving myself permission to refire.
Mhm.
And so I like, because I also think, even as a therapist, we can't take people farther than we've been. And so I, find myself challenging certain, being challenged by certain things. And so the best way to keep it is to give it away. And so, encouraging people to kind of think beyond, but also to be able to, like I said, make peace with the past. And sometimes that means releasing people, releasing things that we've been holding on to, because this is our next chapter. And just like you said, we're the CEO of our bodies, we're the CEOs of our minds as well.
Mhm. Amen to that. Amen to that. And so I'm gathering, it's that mindset shift.
Hmm.
And a lot of that is old behaviors. What I've learned is that even in a cultural standpoint, even things that I learned as an African American woman, and then still dealing with those things, even as a physician, moving on beyond in different circles, things that I've carried that are just not true, just mirrors that are not true. Have there things that have built me, made me the person I am? Absolutely. And I thank God for that. But some of the, things that I might have thought in my 20s, 30s just do not, make sense anymore. And sometimes it's um, those old beliefs or systems that honestly make us a little bit more moodier, a little bit more off our game, a little bit more like second guessing or fearing, or not really being able to step into our power, right? Stepping into our being. And this is the time to do it, specifically in a time where your body feels like it's disconnecting, but actually it's a new connection. I love talking about new language. I love talking about when we are entering this transition or phase in our life, it is more of a new connection, like you said, a new purpose, and redirecting that energy in such a good way that you're not concentrating on what we lost. Let's focus on what we're gaining in this time. And so I think that's a beautiful thing. Um, so Bridget, there's a couple of things that I wanted to ask you when we're talking about the physique or the fitness model of a woman, and especially during this time. And it's something I get a couple of times when it comes to those who might have back trouble or back pain. There was something that someone actually had sent me today asking specifically about this shortly before we came on. What are probably some areas that people can navigate some of these challenges if they have a potential disability?
Um, I think that the biggest thing, because if we talk about what you guys were just saying about mindset,
Mhm,
being able to look at things differently. So if we have a disability or something that's limiting what you can do, um,
mhm,
we have to appreciate where we are, what our bodies can do right now in this moment, and we capitalize on that. And so
mhm,
if we're not focused on what the disability is, it helps us to create a change in our body. So let's say if someone has, for instance, back pain, or maybe trauma to their back, or they've had back surgery, etc., there are ways to be able to build the muscles around the spine, build the muscles around the joints to be able to correct posture, or to alleviate some of the pain. Will it go completely away? It really depends on the circumstance. It depends on the injury. But can we do things or exercises that are modified, maybe not as intense as someone without back pain or without the disability, but we can do or can create a program that fits you, that still gets you in the best shape of where you are right now. And
mhm,
I think that's the key of, like, let's, I'm 37, right? And so through my through my years, like this last couple years, I'm like, the body ain't bodying like it's supposed to. You know what I mean? And so now I'm here and I'm like, okay, let's appreciate where you are and not try to compare yourself to who you were 20 at 20,
mhm,
because it's not going to be there. You may not ever get back there, and that's okay. And so with the injuries, with the things that have changed over time with injuries and things of that nature, we just got to adjust. We can modify, we can create, and it's like a recreation. It's more of a lifestyle transformation and change, not just
mhm.
a boom, it's a quick, easy diet pill. So,
I love it. Transformation.
yeah.
That's
Mhm.
always a very key thing. Transformation, for sure. Um, so, Tammy, back to you about this is a time where people may have had a previous health diagnosis, especially when it comes to anxiety, depression, bipolar disorder. These are some of the common things. And I call it, I've gotten this from an influencer out there, pink slime. You know, how I feel that we will throw pink slime on people. Well, I don't understand why she couldn't take it, why she had to end up taking medications. And I get that on the side of whether people decide to do hormone therapy or antidepressants. And I always tell people, look at it as this is part of your solution. And if you look at it as far as that and not necessarily this is what I've had to take, are there certain solutions that need to be readdressed or redirected and not continue to do the same thing expecting different results? Absolutely. But when we have someone who has, some of these common disorders entering into menopause, what is some of the things that you may approach a little differently and how to help navigate that space? Under those circumstances.
Well, we talk about medication,
Mm,
and oftentimes I'll see women, they're probably perimenopausal actually.
mhm,
And, but, they've been struggling for years with, moodiness, or just the, irritability, or, sometimes uncontrollable anxiety.
mhm,
And so the idea of taking medication, again, having to be okay with that. And so we talk about that, and I give them the example. If we were talking about hypertension, if we were talking about diabetes, would there be an issue? Well, no. Okay, so let's remove the stigma. Or in some cases, people have, their experience is they had family members that were on medication, and what they saw was a family member who was, and I'll use the word, like a zombie. And so it's kind of like, well, I don't want to be like that, so I don't want to be on medication. So we have to kind of work through that. However, I always tell my clients, we're going to do some things first, and we're going to see if we can get some mood improvement by doing some behavioral things, by doing some mood shift things, or mindset shifts and things like that. But after a couple of weeks, if you're still pretty much down in the dumps, or I'm having to take every session to bring you down and try to regulate, then we most likely are talking about medication, because you're not getting what you came here for if all I'm doing is putting out the fire. And I've had people say, well, I feel so great after a session, probably for the first 3 days after the session, and then my mood drops again, things like that, because, that's not the way it goes. And so, but talking about that, and my suggestion to people is always start with the lowest dosage. You can always go up. You always want to start with the lowest dosage.
Mhm.
And the other piece is just being okay with that, being okay with it, because if you find yourself feeling better in 2 to 3 weeks, is it not worth it, if to feel better, to feel more in control? Now, on the flip side, I will say, women going through menopause are often told, or in the past were told, that they were just depressed, and they were given medication that they probably didn't need. And so we have that conversation about, at least from my understanding of the world of menopause, and talking about what some of those changes might look like, and trying to implement and teach people skills. I like to teach people skills that they can do, because my job is to work myself out of a job. So to teach people skills that they can take. And so, if again, giving you skills, giving you tools, helping you with self advocacy, helping you with insight and self awareness, and then if we need to add medication to that, so that you have the whole package if that's what's needed. And
Mhm.
so that's my take on the medication piece. But there are times when it's absolutely needed.
Yeah. Yeah, and I agree, because I always get a common question about what supplements I need to take. And first, I feel like it's a mindset shift. Like, okay, are we just going to take the supplements and everything's just supposed to disappear? Like, are we really going to be working on the issue at hand? And I think it's an uphill battle sometimes, because it's a psychology, that microwave mentality, or just trying to get to the next thing, and it ends up kind of working against us oftentimes, because it'll work, but then many times that magic pill in the bottle may not do it. Now, are there certain go-tos? No matter what, I'm putting someone on especially when they have cognitive or brain foggy type things. I tend to always make sure, of course, we're addressing nutrition, and doing a complete metabolic reset is what I call it, to really revitalize some tissue and some hormones in an area where you're not putting so many environmental burdens. But I'm a big believer in a good sound multivitamin, if you're going to do anything to supplement a probiotic, because the brain gut connection is so important. So once you have that piece of the nutrition, and then also making sure that you are addressing gut issues, and it may not just be that probiotic, you might have to really dig a little deeper in how to really understand how the body and the kinetics work with it. And magnesium is one of those things too that I may often recommend. Like, if I had to choose, one of those three things, if someone's coming in for particular issues as cognitive and mood, because I want them to rest better. And I know if I heal within a mindset, within the gut function, and rest and sleep and do more restorative type things, then I know that that mood is going to get better, but it may not necessarily be overnight. But once again, just really taking a look at the person and what they're trying to achieve and the goals, and what is that optimal health they want to create. And I think that makes a good difference. Someone mentioned they started running at 40, and it's part of my weekly routine. I think that's awesome. Which is something I want to talk about. Thank you for bringing that up, because what is part of each of your daily routines that really add to uplifting your mood, and also what you feel contributes to your health? I'll go with Bridget first.
I would have to say waking up early. I wake up early every day, but doing my devotion before I start my day is huge. If I don't do that, then things are chaotic. Checking my planner in the morning to know exactly where I need to be, what time I need to be there, and what I'm supposed to be doing is essential. Otherwise, my day is it's not a day because it just goes by so quickly. And then working out, making sure I'm drinking enough water to stay hydrated and hydrated as best as possible, and making sure I get at least 30 minutes of working out a day and stretching. Those are my essentials. Everything else just kind of comes after that.
Beautiful, beautiful. How about you, Tammy? Those are some good ones.
Yes, I would say here to those. I I've started back doing Pilates. I do hot yoga. And one of the things about hot yoga is I sit in there and I always give God all the glory that I can sit in that 120 plus degree thing and feel my body and stretch and feel really good. So I do that. I cycle, um, I walk, and I do weights and all kinds of things. But one of the things I think that's important is gratefulness, to just have the gratefulness. And I do spend time with my devotional. I try to talk to God all through the day, but make sure I'm listening as well. And just really try to, I may have a plan for the day, but also try to listen and be mindful in case, I'm supposed to be doing some other things as well. But certainly trying to live with purpose, trying to live with purpose.
That's beautiful. I will say, excuse me, I would say I do a little bit of everything that you all have mentioned, because I recognize that I'm a complete morning person. So like even now, it's just like, okay, all the things that I know I have to do before this is going to be a late night for me, but still I know that I'm definitely a morning person. But part of my routine is reducing the stress of making sure that I get my hydration for the day. So I drink 2 tall glasses of water. I'm a type of person, I love to drink water in a glass when I can. And I take 5 to 10 mLs of liposomal vitamin C. That's my thing every morning. And I use liposomal vitamin C or liquid so it can absorb better and have more functionality in the body instead of just adding tablets and sugar. And but with that, and I read usually a Rick Warren devotional or journal. And then if I'm reading a book, so I have a 7-year-old, and it's all about teaching your kids to read 20 to 30 minutes a day. And if you want to get me in a happy spot, I mean, I would love to just know that I could read a book from cover to cover, and just snuggle up somewhere. So part of my routine has to do with reducing those things that may cause triggers of stress for me, like not being able to get hydration or not being able to connect to a book or read something. And so that's what I've done for myself. I have not only I meditate, gratitude, devotional, but I'm like, okay, can I spend 20 minutes reading, because that's my happy place. Not every morning happens, but I would say, okay, maybe 3 days out of the week, I'm able to connect there because that means something to me, and putting that placeholder there for that in the morning. And then working out is one of those. But I had to get somebody accountable to make sure I did it. That was the thing. That was part of adding that extra board of advisor of my health was, okay, I can't make it to gym because I got littles and all this. And I'm not, by the time we do drop off and all this, I've already started my task list of so many other things. So how can I make sure that I needed accountability because I was being unfair to myself? So making those decisions as a CEO could mean that how am I going to invest? And I think we need to start using that word. How can I invest in this time period? Because as you said, when you are in your 30s or 40s, you really are planning a lot of things that are going to help you for the quality of life that you seek later on. And some of that is creating the boundaries and investing in yourself other than nail care or massage. So makes a big difference. For those out there listening, or if you share, please, if you have any questions, we're wrapping up soon in our last 15 minutes. And so please drop them here, or at least say, hey, comment on how was your first experience of someone talking to you about menopause, or what are those things that are plaguing you, or interest points. And so I wanna bust some myths out there. And I'll start with you, Bridget. In this unique age group, especially when you have a good majority of women falling into those perimenopause, going into menopause phase, what are some common myths that exist that you feel like you have to bust all the time?
Wow. One would have to be that you have to starve yourself.
Mm.
To be able to, yeah, to be able to get to how you think you should look or want to appear, you have to starve. That is a myth. We must eat. You must fuel your body. It's essential to daily living. Second one would be that you'll always have um, pain or a mommy pouch. Like all of these things are not being able to be fixed or modified. Like you don't have to stay where you are just because of where you are. You can always change. Your body can always change over time. And that you can't do, like, a lot of women kind of say, like, if I'm 50, I've never lifted weights before, I can't do it. If I'm 50, I've never worked out, I can't do it. And so that's a myth. You can start by walking, you can start by doing yoga, and you can increase your weight up. But our bodies are designed to move. So if you don't move, you're gonna lose it. And so yeah, those are probably the top three.
And I love how you say movement. Sometimes I feel like we have to take out the word exercise, because the minute you say exercise, people are like, ugh, or I don't want to do it. But, the factor of movement is, I don't know, it just takes a whole different connotation. It just sounds better, like, okay, I can move.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people don't realize how much we sit during the day. So
Mm-hmm.
just driving to and fro, or eating dinner, or going here, like, or even at the office and meetings. So if you're sitting for maybe 80% of the day, you have to move. Like you have to. Your body's gonna function better that way. So yeah, if you think about it, it's a lot of sitting. I think I drive a lot. So yeah.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, just from something with family pickup or something, I was just like, yeah, I'm in the car sitting down. Has to be about 3.5 hours every day given. Definitely. What are some of the myths you feel like you come across, Tammy?
This is the way I am.
Mm,
I've always been like this.
that's strong.
Um, Again, is this all there is?
Mm,
Is this all there is? So I like to infuse spirituality and faith into the therapy,
mhm,
because people need something more. People need to be able to believe in something beyond today, beyond, what it's been up to this point, that it can, because it's easy for us to believe blessings and wonderful things for everybody else than it is sometimes for ourselves, or to
mhm,
get stuck on our lived experiences and believe that this is the way it's going to always be.
mhm.
So,
So true.
yeah.
Your voice is so soothing.
It is. I just want to lay on the couch at this point.
Yeah. Okay, I thought it was just me.
Yeah.
Yeah, Tammy. Yeah, I got that.
I did want to mention one supplement, L-theanine.
Hmm.
That's pretty good. I said I was going to try it. I said I'm going to try it first before I started telling the people I work with about it. But the thing for me that drew me in, because I feel like I have so many things I want to do, and it said, "Oh, it can help with focus," and
Focus
I
and
was like, "Help with focus?" So it's like you had me at help with focus. Okay, I can get more done. Okay, so one thing I have noticed, I've been taking the L-theanine
uh-huh.
along with the rest of the vitamins and things that I take. And I noticed that the angst sometimes that I find myself feeling, or that feeling of just overwhelmed, like, oh, I have all these things to do. Like I'm waiting for the feeling to come, and
Hmm.
it doesn't come. And
Mhm.
so instead, I'm like, okay, we're going to do this first.
Mhm.
We will do this. And it's okay. It's okay. It's
Mhm.
okay if I don't just embrace everything and say I got to do it all. So again, maybe it's just in my head, but that's something that I've noticed. So I would suggest talk with your doctor, but health
Mhm.
theory.
Mhm. And and I've had good results with L-theanine, as far as a supplement, and as you said, help you with focus, help with kind of like that relaxing. Oftentimes, if you're looking at a sleep aid bottle, it might be one of those additional ingredients that they put in there.
Mhm.
And this is also where I like to put a plug in about individualized or personalized health regimens. One of the key areas that I've learned to embrace, or that I like to do on most women that I work with now, is epigenetics. And so that's really understanding how your basically your genomic blueprint behaves in that environment. And what I have learned through that process is that certain women that I work with are triggered in a certain way, where in their pathway they're more apt to produce certain anxiety driven neurochemicals. And if that's the case, a lot of people may take L-theanine and be like, "Ah, that didn't do anything for me," so, what have you, but recognize that they probably needed to be on a different regimen anyway. And it's not like it's a bad supplement. It's not what's driven or personalized. It's going to be the best fit for you. So if you had that spectrum of 10, okay, this might be more of a four-ish type thing, and you don't want to necessarily maximize on amount. But definitely something that could be utilized oftentimes, especially if we're talking about cognition and mood and restoration, or, preserving some kind of rest at night as well, because you could be just so amped, you're just so amped.
Now, and it does work well with coffee. Again, I'm a coffee file. So
Mhm.
again, I was in my happy place. It works with coffee. Okay.
Right, 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 right. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, so I think that's a good one, for those who might be in that category, for sure. So as we're kind of wrapping up, I wanted to get, what is your number one major takeaway, individually, for Tammy? You can take it from the cusp of mood, mental health. What do you want to share with women on this Menopause Awareness Day, or for those heading into menopause? Or most importantly, I'm all about changing the conversation, where we're going to have this a generational conversation, right? So telling women out there that one takeaway when it comes to mood and mental health and menopause, what would you like to share?
well, again, I think it's individualized, but I think if one can do what they need to do to have all of the supports on board, and come prepared in this, I'm going to say in this season of life, come prepared to do the necessary work,
Mm,
because I think that's sometimes what we have to do. We have to dig in and do the necessary work for the next chapter. And that this isn't the end. This is not the end.
yeah.
This is the next chapter.
The next chapter. I
Mhm.
just heard Inyala and like, do your work. Do your work.
And you do, because there is no magic bullet. And so you have to do the work, be
Yeah,
prepared to do the work. But this is the next chapter. You are the CEO, you hold the pen.
absolutely. Ooh, I like that. That's a shirt. You hold the pen.
I
Next.
got one that says that actually. I made one, but
Oh,
you
really?
hold the pen. Yes, yes.
I like that. I'm enough and then hold the pen.
Hmm.
I'm encouraged. Okay. Coach Bridget, what you got to say? What's your number one takeaway?
Number one takeaway is that, I mean, I have to piggyback off of what Tammy said. Every season is different, every chapter is different. And so as you continue to go from book to book, chapter to chapter, you have to continuously be on course, meaning consistently doing the work, consistently showing up for yourself. Because if you don't show up, nobody else will. And I think the big takeaway is that never just, never doubt how far you can go, because you can always be better, or you can always do, more to pour into yourself. And so being able to be self selfish in the aspect of taking care of your body, because we as women can't take care of anyone else unless we're taken care of. And so just being able to pour into your body holistically, mentally, physically, spiritually, is important in every chapter. So
Mhm. Absolutely, absolutely. I think my number one takeaway is no matter what, and this obviously connects the dot with what you all are saying. Um, Connect with someone who can be that right person to help you out. So as I brought together connecting dots of people I consider part of my board of health, or my board of advisors, because no matter what in the community, I guess as physicians we're kind of considered, okay, we should know so much, but we're human too. We're going through similar challenges, and even as a high functioning, high performing individual, or at least I consider myself as such, um, I still encompass some of the same challenges just like someone else. And life is not going to just stop just because I decided to become a doctor, or I decided to help women, or I'm on a mission to make sure that we do these type of things. And so I always um, um, heed that warning, even for myself, that grace, give yourself grace in this period. Give yourself grace to understand that you are an overcomer, you are a victor. So whatever trauma or anything that you've experienced in your life, this can still be a purposeful, a purpose driven, and a very fulfilling part of your life that can just illuminate new things that you didn't know. Whether it's something you gave up on, or you wanted to reconnect with, or a relationship you want to restore. I mention to people a lot of times on someone's deathbed, they quote it, usually someone is talking about what they didn't do or what they did not restore or tell someone, not about what's taking them away from this life. So this is the time to definitely renew those type of relationships, and most importantly, the relationship to yourself. You are your biggest asset. So with that being said, I wanted to make sure to share what's going on in Coach Bridget and well, you're a coach too in a way too, Tammy, right? Mental health counselor. I mean, you're just all encompassing in so many ways. As you hold your pen, right? So with that, you have a new something coming out that you want to share with us. So won't you talk about briefly what's on the horizon for you and how you're helping women to heal?
Okay. What's on the horizon for me is I have a new therapy workbook slash journal that's coming out. It's a 90-day customizable journal, therapy journal. And actually it's the equivalent of 12 therapy sessions. It has material and questions and things that I actually do with my patients. It has actual journaling sheets, it has observation sheets, and it has these daily awareness sheets that can be filled out. And then in the back section of it, it has a lot of different resources that can be used. So I'm really excited about it. It is my heart's desire to share, and it will be available on Amazon in November.
Okay, awesome. And so you can check that out on www.therapyunchained.com. All right, Bridget, you got a new facility coming, don't you?
yeah, but I'm writing down this website. Stand by. Okay, got it. Okay. I am in St. Cloud, Florida, which is close to Orlando, close to Kissimmee, Central Park. And I'm opening our first facility, gym for group fitness personal training. And the grand opening is November 5th. And so I'm like, excited, scare-sided. We're all the things, but we're excited to reach so many people with personal training, group training, CPR training, family seminars, education. So November 5th is our grand opening day.
Okay, so that is Florida based, but at the same time, you still will be offering virtual solutions for women as well. Is that right?
Correct. I do virtual personal training and group training. We have a group
Okay.
that currently meets 2 to 3 times a week virtually, and then I also do personal virtual training as well.
Yeah, and Bridget's very popular in the class. She would burn you. Okay. Oh goodness. So yeah, which was one of the reasons why I did enjoy it. It was transformational, but also you're very well versed in understanding a lot of things about the female physique and body. Where even when we work, I just feel like I feel everything, like no matter what. I'm like, I didn't think I even worked that system today, Bridget. And it's just amazing. So I really do love that. And then for those who are wondering where to find me, you can find me on drlareesa.com and visit me on the website. Most importantly, on my website right now, I am going to start a focus group. Like I said, I'm on a mission to not only help women understand improving hormone balance, but most importantly, how to heal from an integrative approach, but also understanding how to define what that looks like after you discover your needs, and how to dominate, and how to understand how modern technology and the things in technology are going to fit in that puzzle for you, because that's how you're going to measure and understand your KPIs, which are key performance indicators, as well as understanding what trends and biomarkers are going to help you individualize your personal care. I say that mouthful to say I am offering a focus group because I want to hear back from you, women out there, and what you're experiencing with your healthcare provider or with your own particular experiences, and how can we start changing this our particular way of how medicine or how our healthcare is delivered, and what are some of the things that you've experienced, number one, and then number two, what are some things on the horizon that I can share with you, and how do you navigate with it? How does that resonate with you, and what do you want those people out there who are creating for you to understand about what you want, what your desires, in a very much a diversified plane? So if you go to my website, there's somewhere where you can enter a form so you can be a part of the upcoming focus group. So I'm really excited about that. Any last words or anything else to share? I did want to put out there, this is not only Menopause Awareness Day, but I am dedicating this episode to my mother, rest in peace, who most recently passed away. Being here in this moment, I feel like no matter what, I am her child. So in this moment, that's what I share. And as we celebrate this day and celebrate a life. Anything else you ladies like to share as we sign off? No. Well, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you. I appreciate you being part of my board of advisors. And for those out there who need that little off as well in their life. So I appreciate all those who have joined us tonight. Please share this with a friend or your daughter, your sisters. Remember, this is a generational conversation. So thanks for being along with us tonight. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.